What do you think of these stocks generally?
Generally, thank you for having me, Tyler. I think generally you're certainly right. There are a lot of stocks that are, going through a lot of overcorrection and a lot of still strong businesses. But I do think some of it's warranted. And I know that Kathy Wood takes the brunt for, a lot of things that happen when a lot of the high growth stocks, go down. And that's obviously because some of her holdings are highly concentrated in those areas. But if you kind of circle in on some of them, if you pull back the charts, there are been, especially with a name like Tesla, there are been some stocks that perform well over that time. Now, if you look at Peloton, that's a different one where we haven't been out of that stock just because of the fact, as you mentioned, they have subscribers, they have great talent, they have great content, but it is just still a fitness product which needs demand. And I think when you've seen that demand wane a little bit, you kind of get worried about where the stock goes going forward. But I do think, overall the sentiment, it's a good test for especially younger investors when they're thinking about if they're over concentrate in certain names just because it may be a hot name of the moment, Tyler.
Mm-hmm. Christina, a lot of these companies that you listed there have in common the fact that they were given a boost by the pandemic. I'm thinking of Zoom. I'm thinking of Teladoc. I'm also thinking of Peloton. But Zoom is going to be with us. Zoom has transformed the way, not that there aren't competitors, but it's transformed the way we gather.
Right, so maybe we can look at it a little differently is what you're alluding to,
yeah.
I'm assuming? Because if we talk about just to Teladoc, it's off 75% from its 52-week high. Roku off 67%. So like you mentioned, a lot of these stay-at-home stocks, did well during the pandemic. Has their time come? Zoom, there's a lot of opportunity for growth. They have conferences that they want to move into, these other smaller chat rooms. There's expansion there. Peloton, though, I don't know, isn't that just a bike with, an iPad on the screen right now? And so is that going to be a potential takeover for, I know we talk about Apple, but for any other major corporation? So there's still a lot of questions around that.
All right, thanks, Christina. All right, Kelly?
A bike with an iPad.
I know, that was mean,
Oh, that's cruel.
Sorry. I don't own one, so maybe that's why I'm bitter.
No, Tyler, he's all over it. All right, let's turn from some of the momentum stocks to something very similar, which is the crypto space, where Bitcoin's below 40,000, and the stocks that follow the cryptos are also getting hit. Dom Chu is here for more on that. Dom?
All right, so while the stock market is talking about corrections in the NASDAQ, as you just pointed out, Bitcoin traders, investors, hodlers are way past corrections in bear markets. That's because since hitting those record highs of nearly $69,000 back in November, we're now down 40% plus for Bitcoin. According to CoinMarketCap, at the highs, Bitcoin was worth around $1.27 trillion with a T in market value. Today, it's closer to $730 billion. Now, if you want to think of it in terms of stocks, it's almost like it's lost an entire NVIDIA in market cap during that drop, or around 2 whole Disneys during that drop. Now, that's translated into even bigger losses in some of these smaller cryptos in the market. You think of Ether, which has admittedly had a bigger run-up and surge in the past year than Bitcoin has, as well as things like Ripple or Solana or Dogecoin, you name them. They're all much smaller than Bitcoin. Now, that's also having, by the way, a direct effect on certain stocks in particular, like MicroStrategy, since the software maker actually owns Bitcoin on its balance sheet, so it'll trade with the price there. Trading platforms like Coinbase and Robinhood, down as well, as you can see there, as are payments providers like Block and PayPal that help enable crypto transactions. So, Kelly, this is very much about an ecosystem type trade, everything moving lower in sympathy. Bitcoin, though, the center of the universe, the biggest market cap by far.
Yeah, it's the bellwether. It's the Dow of crypto. Another example of something with a lot of promise. But Delano, what's the right price here? To what extent are you involved?
Still very involved, Kelly. And I think the right price, and I think this is the opportunity for investors, the longer-term investors, to get in at this price, right? So we keep seeing the floor rise with each correction. We saw, over 6 months ago, we were at a low point in the crypto market when there was definitely a pullback and correction. And so each time that floor is more than likely rising. So I think, investors right now should take an opportunity to see if this is a great opportunity for them to put cash to work in this area. I think there's a couple of reasons why. You're still seeing adoption, institutional interest coming in. You're still seeing the infrastructure being built out. I saw that Twitter is now adding, NFT capability on your profile. So that's still happening. This total macro risk-off environment is definitely hitting these areas. But for longer-term investors, I'm definitely seeing still some interest from new people and new clients that are still wondering about this area. It's still very fresh, still very new. Even with you're seeing a lot being taken off, I think this is a great opportunity for people to get involved, Kelly.